Sephardic Jews. Exile shaped them. Empires tried to erase them. Kingdoms expelled them. And yet across centuries of migration, persecution, and survival, the Sephardic Jewish people carried a distinct identity from medieval Spain to North Africa, the Ottoman Empire, the Balkans, and beyond. But where do the Sephardic Jews actually come from? Are they mostly descendants of ancient Israelites from the Levant? Or did centuries in Iberia completely reshape their genetic identity through mixing with Spaniards, North Africans, and Mediterranean peoples? Scientists have wrestled with this question for decades, and now ancient DNA and modern genetic studies are finally giving us answers. Some of them are genuinely surprising. In this video, we're going to trace the genetic story of the Sephardic Jewish people. From the ancient Near East and Roman Judea, through medieval Spain and the expulsions of 1492, all the way to the DNA of Sephardic communities living today. And along the way, we'll uncover why Sephardic Jews may preserve one of the most complex and layered genetic histories in the Mediterranean world. Today, Sephardic Jewish communities live across Israel, France, Turkey, the United States, Latin America, Morocco, and many other parts of the world. Their numbers are difficult to estimate precisely because Sephardic identity overlaps with broader Jewish and Mizrahi communities, but millions of people today carry at least partial Sephardic ancestry. Geography shaped this story at every stage. The Sephardic world stretched across the Mediterranean, one of the busiest migration corridors in human history. Iberia connected Europe to North Africa. The Ottoman Empire linked the Balkans to the Middle East. Coastal trade routes carried merchants, scholars, refugees, and entire families from port to port for centuries. That's not incidental. It's the reason Sephardic DNA became so layered. And here's what's interesting. Sephardic Jews preserved distinctive traditions, surnames, and even a language for hundreds of years after leaving Spain. Ladino, also called Judeo-Spanish, still contains echoes of medieval Castilian Spanish mixed with Hebrew, Turkish, Greek, Arabic, and Balkan influences. That kind of cultural continuity over 5 centuries is rare. There's another detail scientists noticed. Certain inherited diseases, including some rare metabolic and blood disorders, appear at elevated frequencies in specific Sephardic communities. Researchers believe centuries of endogamy, meaning marriage within relatively closed communities, amplified some genetic traits over time. We'll come back to why that matters later. The Sephardic Jewish story is deeply tied to language. Historically, Sephardic Jews spoke Ladino, a Jewish form of medieval Spanish that emerged after Jewish communities in Iberia developed their own literary and cultural traditions during the Middle Ages. Linguistically, Ladino belongs to the Romance language family, alongside Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Italian. But Hebrew remained central in religion and scholarship, while Arabic heavily influenced Sephardic intellectual life during the Islamic Golden Age in Spain. That combination reveals something important. Sephardic identity formed at the crossroads of Europe and the Middle East, shaped by multiple civilizations at once. And this is where it gets surprising. Many Sephardic surnames that sound completely Spanish or Portuguese still trace back to Jewish families expelled centuries ago. Names like Toledano, Navarro, Cardozo, or Espinoza survived migrations across continents, carrying fragments of medieval Iberia into the modern world. But before we get to the DNA, we need to go back much further, to the people who were here first. The deepest roots of Sephardic Jewish ancestry begin in the ancient Levant, the eastern Mediterranean region that includes modern Israel, Palestine, Jordan, Lebanon, and surrounding territories. Thousands of years ago, this region became home to ancient Canaanite populations and later the Israelites. Ancient DNA studies changed how scientists understand these populations. Researchers analyzing Bronze Age remains from sites in the Levant discovered strong genetic continuity between ancient Canaanite populations and many modern Levantine peoples, including Jewish groups. In simple terms, Despite invasions, empires, and dispersal, parts of the ancient population never completely disappeared. The earliest layers of ancestry in this region came from even older Near Eastern hunter-gatherers and early farmers who emerged after the last ice age. Unlike Northern Europe, agriculture developed locally here very early. Ancient communities built some of the world's first towns and farming societies in the Fertile Crescent more than 10,000 years ago. Then came another major wave. During the Neolithic and Bronze Age periods, populations from Anatolia and surrounding regions mixed repeatedly with local Levantine peoples. Trade routes connected Egypt, Mesopotamia, Anatolia, and the Mediterranean coast. The Levant became a true genetic mosaic, a layered population shaped by constant interaction. Archaeological discoveries from places like Jerusalem, Megiddo, and Ashkelon reveal how interconnected the region already was thousands of years ago. Merchants, soldiers, and migrants moved through these cities constantly. Then came the imperial centuries. Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, and Romans all conquered the region at different times. The Roman destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE became especially important in Jewish history because it accelerated the Jewish diaspora, the spread of Jewish populations across the Mediterranean and beyond. But here's the thing. The diaspora didn't erase Levantine ancestry. It spread it. Over centuries, Jewish communities established themselves across the Roman Empire, especially in southern Europe, North Africa, and eventually Iberia. Some mixing with local populations happened almost everywhere they settled. But many communities also remained relatively endogamous, preserving strong ancestral continuity from the Eastern Mediterranean. The history books long framed Sephardic Jews primarily as medieval Spaniards who practiced Judaism. But when scientists looked at the DNA, they found something more complicated. Modern genetic studies consistently show that Sephardic Jews cluster genetically with other Jewish populations and Eastern Mediterranean groups more closely than with the general Spanish or Portuguese population alone. Researchers from institutions including Harvard Medical School, the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and studies published in journals like Nature and the American Journal of Human Genetics found clear evidence of shared Middle Eastern ancestry across many Jewish diaspora communities. And this is where it gets surprising. Even after centuries in Iberia, Sephardic Jews still retained strong genetic links to ancient Levantine populations. The history books emphasized exile and assimilation. The DNA revealed continuity. That doesn't mean Sephardic Jews remained genetically isolated. Far from it.